Welcome to Love by Design, the podcast for high-achieving women who are ready to stop performing for love and start building it from truth, from alignment. Hello and welcome back to Love by Design. This is Joan. So let's jump into it. So you're over 40, you're single, and the world has a lot of opinions about that. So your family has opinions, your married friends have opinions, the dating apps definitely have opinions. Society has an entire timeline of opinions. And underneath all those opinions is one message. And that message is, you should have figured this out by now. So this special episode is for two women. So the woman who got married, did everything right, and found herself starting again, carrying grief for a marriage that didn't survive, and the pressure to try again. And also the woman who built a whole life on her own terms, who has been answering the same question over and over again for years, which is, why aren't you married yet? So, two different paths, but the same pressure, the same 2 a.m. question. Did I wait too long? No, you didn't. So I want to talk about it today. So let me speak to both of you directly, to the woman who's been here before. You did what you were supposed to do. So you got married, you built the life, and it fell apart anyway. And now you're back. Except back looks nothing like it did at 25. You're re-entering a dating world that feels completely foreign. You're watching your friends move into second marriages. Some of those second marriages are already struggling. Some are already divorced. And you're carrying something that's pretty heavy. The grief of marriage that didn't work and the pressure to prove that you can do it right this time. You hear things like, at your age, after divorce, you need to be more realistic. You hear it from family, you hear it from friends, sometimes you even hear it from yourself. And secondly, to the woman who has never walked down the aisle, you've been asked, why aren't you married yet? For 2 solid decades, or even more. You chose your career, you chose your standards, you chose your life. You watched every friend get married, have their babies, built that life, and you built a completely different kind of life instead. And the world has decided that it means there is something wrong with you. And this could be that you're too picky, or you're too successful, too intimidating, too independent. Stressful world, eh? So here's what both of you share. You are fully built women. You know who you are. You know what you want. And you're navigating a dating world that was designed for a younger, less certain version of yourself. That is not a disadvantage, but it does come with a specific kind of pressure. And today, we're naming that pressure. So can we talk about the 3 most damaging words in the English language for every single woman over 40? The first one is at your age. At your age, you can't be so picky. At your age, you should be grateful someone even wants you. At your age, maybe it's time to lower your expectations. And like I said, this comes primarily from family. I still get it. From well-meaning friends, right? From dating advice that wasn't built for women like you and I. And sometimes the most dangerous version comes from inside your own head because you're spinning. You're thinking at this age. At this age assumes that your worth has an expiry date. It assumes that time passing means that your standards have to shrink. That wisdom should make you more desperate, not more discerning. That the years that you've spent becoming who you are should somehow count against you. Well, they don't. Your worth doesn't have to have an expiry date, and anyone, including the voice in your own head, who suggests otherwise is operating from a very, very, very old and very tired story. I want to talk about the comparison trap, especially when you're over 40. So the comparison trap at this point in your life looks different than it did when you were 25. So you're watching women at your age now on their second marriages, friends who have settled the first time are now settled yet again. And that voice keeps saying, even they figured it out. What is wrong with me? Here's what that comparison trap is really doing. You're watching people choose anything over being alone. And you're wondering if that's actually the smarter play. You're watching people prioritizing partnership over alignment and questioning whether your discernment is actually just fear. It isn't. The people who choose the timeline over their truth, well, some, if not most, of them are quietly miserable. Some of them are heading towards divorce number 2 or 3. Some of them are actually watching you and wondering if they made the right call. So, you are not behind, you just chose differently with good reason. So now I want to name the specific loneliness of this season because they deserve to be named. So this is coming home to an empty house after someone else's wedding, being the only one without a plus one again, your coupled friends disappearing into their couple world, dinner parties that became family gatherings with grandchildren everywhere, and everyone's like oohing after this little kids. Holidays where the question comes from every direction about why you're still single. Valentine's Day with having no plans, couples trips that, well, you weren't included or invited because your single number just doesn't fit. The scrolling at night on Instagram, the looking at different engagement, announcement, anniversary posts, family photos, and that voice in your head that still keeps nagging, what is actually wrong with me? For the woman who's been divorced, the specific grief of watching your ex move on, I know that was a painful one for me. Watching them remarry, watching them build a new life while you're still trying to find solid ground. For the woman who's been married, the accumulated weight of years of this, it doesn't get lighter. It gets more specific, more targeted, more personal. Well, these moments are real, for sure. The loneliness is real. The grief is real. And you don't have to spiritually bypass any of it. You need to feel it. You need to feel all of it and then reframe what it actually means. So here's what your singleness is actually saying. First, I'll start with what it's not saying. It's not saying no one wants you. It's not saying you're too much. It's not saying you waited too long. It's not saying you're broken. What it's actually saying is, I know too much now to choose from fear. You have lived enough to know what a wrong relationship costs. You've paid that price, or you've watched others pay it up close, and you're not willing to play it again just so that you have a warm body next to you or someone to attend events with you. Your standards are not the problem. Your standards are the evidence of everything that you've learned, every hard relationship, every difficult conversation, every moment you chose to grow instead of just to cope. So your discernment isn't too high. It's finally calibrated correctly. And the world, yeah, they keep calling it too picky. That's the world revealing its own discomfort with a woman who really knows her worth. It has nothing to do with you. So now here's where I want to be a little bit direct with you, because there is a real danger that lives on, not in the external pressure, in the internal suffering. So to the woman who is fully built, here's the paradox that exists. This is what nobody prepares you for. So you've built a whole life, you've built a career, a home, friendships, wisdom, self-knowledge, you've been working on yourself, you have become a whole person. And now people are telling you that, well, that's the problem. You're too independent. Men feel intimidated by you. You don't need anyone. So no one feels needed. You're too set in your ways. Ugh. So let me be very clear about something. You do not need to dismantle what you built just to be lovable. The right partner will not be threatened by your wholeness. They'll actually be drawn to it. A man who needs you to be less so that he can feel like more, that is not a conscious partner. That is a project. And you're done taking on projects. Your wholeness is not working against you. It's actually your filter. It's showing you exactly who has the capacity to meet you and who doesn't. So trust it. Now, here's where I need to be direct with you, because there is this real danger that lives. Not in the external pressure, not in the internal suffering. It is the moment that you start entertaining someone you know isn't aligned. Just because it's at least something. No. The moment you silence your knowing to avoid another holiday alone, The moment you think, maybe I'm being too picky, maybe I should just try, the moment you start negotiating with your own discernment, that is the voice of fear. It's not reason, it is fear, and it will cost you more than being alone ever did. You already know this. You paid that tuition. You know what it feels like to choose from fear. You know what it feels like to stay too long in something that isn't right. You know what it means to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's limitation. You know the cost. Do not repeat the course. The subtle self-betrayal is not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. It actually sounds quite reasonable. It sounds like compromise. It sounds like maybe I just need to be more open. But there's a difference between being open and being desperate. Being open means I'm willing to be surprised. But being desperate means I'll take what I can get. So you need to know the difference and you need to stay on the right side of it. Sovereignty at 40 plus is not toxic positivity. It's not I love being single, I don't need anyone. No. It's not performing contentment for an audience. No. It's not pretending that the loneliness isn't real. No. Sovereignty is holding both. This is genuinely hard, and I'm not willing to betray my discernment to make it easier. It's being able to sit at a wedding table alone and still know your worth. It's being able to answer, are you seeing anyone? No. Without shame, without apology. It's choosing your own knowing over the fake world timeline. Even when that knowing is inconvenient, even when it costs you something, especially when it costs you something, because sovereignty isn't the absence of longing, it's the refusal to let longing make your decisions. So here's the bigger picture. Every woman over 40 who stays sovereign while in the world that pressures her to settle is making a statement, not just for herself, but for every younger woman who's watching. Every woman who's wondering if it's possible to choose differently, who's wondering if there's another way. Well, you are the proof that there is. You are in the new era of love in real time. Not just talking about it, you're actually living it. And that matters way more than you know. So if you're sitting with the weight of this season right now, this era of being single, the pressure, the loneliness, the questions, I want you to hear this and I want you to listen good. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are a fully built woman who refused to settle for a relationship that couldn't hold who you actually are. At over 40, you know exactly what that choice costs. You're paying for it every day. That is not failure. That is the highest form of self-love. You didn't fail to find love. You refused to settle for a version of it that will cost you yourself. And when the conscious partnership arrives, it will arrive for a woman who is whole, a woman just like you, not desperate, not diminished, whole. Welcome to your wholeness. Thank you for joining me on today's episode. And if it stirred something in you, trust that. Alignment isn't a concept, it is a calling. And if you're feeling the nudge to take this work deeper, then I want you to go ahead and book your Aligned Love Assessment, where we map your patterns, reveal what's keeping you stuck, and explore your journey to aligned love. You can book your session at joannwosu.com. Until next time, remember, you're not here to earn love, you are here to embody it. So keep dating by design, not by default. See you next week.